Hey, basketball fans, we're out here at Mira Mesa High School where the Marauders just took down the Lincoln Hornets, and it was a very good game, very emotional game between two up-and-coming rivals here at Mira Mesa. And anyway, let's get into it. Mira Mesa started off with the press. Why were they so successful pressing Lincoln early?
Showed a lot of poise. They didn't allow Lincoln to speed them up. They made Lincoln play at the pace they wanted to do, or they wanted to play. They want to get up and down, and the way that Mira Mesa played poise defensively and stayed back and stayed true in their lanes, Lincoln wasn't able to play at the speed or pace they wanted to, so that was a benefit for Mira Mesa.
Imani James is a big-time player for Lincoln. She's averaging 14.5 points per game. Anyway, that's a lot of points, and she is the leading scorer for the Lincoln Hornets, and she got absolutely shut down tonight. Shut out in the first half, only scored 8 points total in the game. What was the key to Mira Mesa's success in slowing her down?
She's a great player, really smart, heady point guard, but I think the guards at Mira Mesa really took it personal. They really took on the challenge of trying to slow her down. They're familiar with her. They battled with her again a couple times last season, so they just really took the challenge and wanted to do what they could to stop her, and if they knew if they stopped her, the whole team would have struggled scoring, and that was the key.
Someone that didn't struggle scoring, however, on Lincoln was Flores. She was dropping a lot of threes late. What can you say about the player she is and how she was resilient tonight for Lincoln?
A little pint-sized baller, really, really flashy, but I like it in a good way. A lot of confidence, plays with a ton of swagger, hit some open shots. A lot of times in Mira Mesa's trapping defense, she got lost, and she was able to knock down big shots, made Mira Mesa pay for leaving her open.
Well, you got to hit shots when you're open. Definitely take advantage of that. The other thing that Lincoln did tonight that was a little bit of a problem for Mira Mesa was the deep ball, coast to coast. I'm talking quarterback dropping back, hitting receiver downfield or down court in this instance. It happened a couple times tonight for rebound or for layups as well as three-pointers. How was Lincoln able to do this?
I think it was more about Mira Mesa falling asleep, got so caught up in watching what was going on in front of them, didn't do a good enough job of checking back. Twice they beat them, at least twice where they scored layups out of it. Late in the game, crucial play where they also happened to beat them deep, but LeJane Gore made a great block to save a possession that was ultimately huge in the end outcome of the game.
She made a great block, but one of her assistant coaches, who we won't necessarily say, told her to stay back, and she was in a great spot to make one of the best plays, I think, of the season, if not for Mira Mesa, for the whole county with that block. It was very, very big. Let's talk about the big-time player tonight for Mira Mesa. That is your daughter, Taylor Williams. She did a great job. She had 14 points, wrestled a bunch of boards down. She had a great job assisting as well, and it was clutch from the free throw line. What can you say? Let's go analyst before you go dad. What can you say about your daughter Taylor Williams tonight?
Well, I'm always analyst with her. I'm a big critic of her, really hard on her, really focused on trying to get her to play the right way. That's the way she plays. And so tonight she did what we asked her to do defensively. Coach Jones gave her the challenge of locking up, and she took the challenge. She loves to defend. You don't really see that a lot today with kids. She really enjoys the challenge of defending the other team's best player. Made a couple big shots, too. Nice assist. So as a coach, analyst, from the outside looking in, it was great to see. She was their leader, got them in some good plays, took them out of some bad plays, and just overall ran the team well. And as a dad, I'm just proud. It's her senior year. I hope she can go out with a bang. Glad to see she's enjoying herself, having some fun, and as a dad, it's good to be able to share that with her.
And in her interview, she enjoys having you coach her up here at Mira Mesa. So Mira Mesa and Lincoln, first game of league. What do you think their outcomes are as the rest of the league continues?
Well, it's tough because this is such a tough league. You can lose to anybody on any night. I mean, San Diego's playing really well. OLP is a tough team, and at the top of the league, you got your Sarahs, your perennial powers. Mira Mesa and Cathedral's probably the league favorite right now. So this is a league that you cannot take a night off or you'll be in trouble.
Let's get into our top 10s after last week. Big tournament action. A lot of teams in action last week, so let's go from the top all the way down. Actually, we can start from the bottom and work our way up. Number 10 is Cathedral Catholic, 9 Eastlake, LCC is 8, Bonita Vista 7, and Bishops is 6. What jumps out to you here in the bottom 5?
Well, you talk about how much good play there was this past weekend. Cathedral kind of struggled a little bit. They went 1-3. They were in the top, the second highest bracket, so the competition was stiff. Again, maybe not ready for that competition because there's so much youth. But I think they'll grow from it in the long term, especially, like I said, we get in the league play. Talk about Bishops. They were struggling without their star, Maddie Chang. She comes back. All of a sudden, they're rolling again. Ran through the Bonita Vista tournament, knocked off a Bonita Vista team that was playing really well. So they're playing as good as any team in the county right now.
The other team that's doing really well is San Marcos. They went 3-1 over the weekend, and they beat Cathedral Catholic. Real quick, let's talk about the Knights up in San Marcos.
I was tweeting about San Marcos all day. They got a really great coach, Roger DiCarlo, led by Rachel Roberts and Dee Dee Valenzuela. They're two senior guards. Very deep group. Got a couple key contributors they get from juniors, Ashley Bernalis and Sari Cloutier, so they could beat anybody on any night. They are playing as well as anybody right now.
We saw Coach DiCarlo a visit up there to San Marcos. Potentially, maybe the Mission Hills game. That's going to be a good one. So, a little teaser for later on in league play. So that's the bottom end of the top 10. The top 5 is 5 San Marcos, the team we were just talking about. Mission Hills is 4, Santa Fe Christian 3, La Jolla Country Day 2, and Mount Miguel 1. So, what can you say about those top 5 teams? I had a little bit different than you, but it was only one spot off for a couple of those teams. You know, give us your feelings, your thoughts on the top 5.
We went back and forth with Mount Miguel and La Jolla Country Day. It's hard to drop a team that's still undefeated, but the logic we had was that La Jolla Country Day won a tough bracket, same tournament, two brackets higher, knocked off Mission Hills in the championship game. So that was our logic. Nothing against Mount Miguel. They're playing really, really well. So it wasn't about them dropping. It was more about rewarding La Jolla Country Day. Santa Fe Christian is playing well. They had one slip up. They after we interviewed them last week, after they dominated Mater Dei, they slipped up the next night and then finished out the tournament strong. So they're playing really well. So those top 5 teams, again, they're a toss-up. Anybody in that top 5 group can beat anybody else, and eventually they can win it all.
It's very interchangeable. You could take the number 1 and number 2, 3, 4. You can basically put those in any order, and you can make an argument for it. And it's going to play itself out as the season goes on. So that's our top 10 for this week. Let's get into last week. There was a couple big games that we need to talk about. Mission Hills knocked off Long Beach Poly. That was a huge game. You called that, and you went 2-0 last week. I didn't pick because I was afraid I was going to get embarrassed. But anyway. You got the pick. You picked it right. You were at that game. What can you say about Mission Hills taking on the Jackrabbits?
Well, it's funny because both of those teams want to speed it up and play fast. It was like both teams scored a combined 80 points, 44-41, I think. So it's actually a credit to Mission Hills that they were able to win a grinded-out game where they weren't able to get up and down. Long Beach Poly is going to be physical, going to be tough. So that was a huge win. Part of the reason why I thought that was going to propel Mission Hills into the championship game of the tournament.
Another Mission Hills game we want to talk about because it was pretty big is La Jolla Country Day over Mission Hills. Pretty big game of determining the top 5. What can you say about those two teams and the game they just played?
Honestly, it was an ugly game. Like, both teams struggled to score, a lot of turnovers. Skill was on display. So, some of the best players in the county were in that game. But a lot of fouls, a lot of turnovers. Down the stretch, Country Day made a play or two more. They made some free throws late. So, again, I really, really hope that that's a matchup we can see again in the playoffs.
Another big matchup between top teams was San Marcos and Cathedral Catholic. San Marcos got the win and put themselves in the top 5 in the county. What can you say about how they're able to knock off a young Cathedral Catholic team?
We talked about it last week in mentioning Santa Fe Christian. I think on paper the talent level is probably equal, but San Marcos is throwing out a lot of seniors and juniors versus Cathedral, who's led by some sophomores, some juniors, and some freshman guards. So I think right now that was the difference in that game.
A lot of camaraderie, a lot of playing with each other for a long time. That results in a lot of wins, especially at the high school level. The last game we want to talk about is we were talking earlier, Bishops and Bonita Vista. Bishops was hurting when they didn't have Madison Chang. Madison Chang came back, and they were able to beat a very good Bonita Vista team. What can you say about that game last week?
The outcome was a bit surprising just because Bonita Vista was playing so well. And, again, we hadn't really seen Bishops with Madison Chang, so we didn't really know, again, how good they were. So a 10-point win, maybe 11-point win. But, again, it's hard to go against Coach Marlon Wells. His kids play the style he wants to play, and they play it to perfection. So when he's got his horses and he can throw them out there, they're tough to beat. But no knock against Bonita Vista. They had a really good weekend, beat a good Mira Mesa team. They got the best score in the county. So, again, even though they're struggling, they got a little injuries too, they're going to be a team that's going to have something to say about how the season plays out.
Let's get into our shout-outs real quick as we're running out of time. Izzy Flores is going to be my first shout-out, the sophomore from San Marcos. She's shooting 41% from the three-point line, leading the county in that stat category. Mozzie Harris, who we saw play Poway for Cathedral Catholic, the sophomore, has 11 double-doubles on the year, killing it for Cathedral and leading that stat category as well. And then Kiana Spriggs, the freshman at Montgomery. Here's a stat that gets overlooked a lot. She has 9.1 charges a game, and as a coach, I know you love that.
doesn't get overlooked by coaches. Trust me, the coaches appreciate what she's doing taking those charges.
So those are my top three girls that my shout-outs are for the week. Who do you got?
So I'm going to cheat. My first shout-out is going to be to a duo, the guard tandem at Eastlake, Orrin Isaacson and Haley Owen. They're flying under the radar, got a really good resume. I think we have them ranked really 9. They're averaging about a combined 30 points. Team was decimated with injuries and transfers, and those two still have them in the mix. Sadie Heckman, a guard at Point Loma, averaging 19.3 points a game. Saw her in the summer, saw her last year at Point Loma. Not getting a lot of recognition, but when you score 19 points a game, that's impressive. And then the last one is that we talk about Bishops and Maddie Chang all the time. Got to give some love to Brianna Delator. She's their point guard. She runs the show. She anchors their defense. And from the guard spot, averages 10 rebounds a game. It's extremely impressive.
Okay, Haseen, let's get into the game picks the rest of this week. Most of the games are tomorrow. There is a big game tonight, Santa Fe Christian and La Jolla Country Day. We won't pick that because, we got to try to get over there and watch that. So, Monte Vista at Rancho Bernardo, 2-8. Monte Vista, 8-2. Rancho Bernardo, who do you got?
I'm going to go Rancho Bernardo. They lost everybody, but it doesn't seem to matter. Point guard Lolo Reynolds is playing well. Got him playing at a higher than expected level, so I'm going to pick them.
We haven't seen these two teams play yet, but I'm going to take the 8-2 over the 2-8. I'm going to go based on record, which is totally a mortal sin in our books. And yeah, exactly. And we've been destroying those people all through the book. So why not go with the 8-2 over the 2-8? So next one, Francis Parker at Mission Bay. I can't pick the better records because they both have 500 records. Francis Parker's 4-4. Mission Bay's 2-2. I've seen Parker play. I wasn't that impressed when they played Point Loma, so I'm going to take Mission Bay in this one.
So I wasn't impressed early with them either, but I had high expectations coming in. I think they're playing a little bit better now. I'll go with Francis Parker.
I also want to be different than you because I want to try to blow you out here in the game picks for this week. La Costa Canyon at Poway rematch. 10-4 La Costa Canyon, 8-4 Poway. Poway won before. I think they are good enough. It's tough to beat teams twice, but I think Poway's going to be able to do it. I'm going to take the Poway Titans.
I think it was a bit of a surprise the first time. I think Coach Mario Flores will make an adjustment in the game. LCC has a little bit better guard play right now, so I'm going to go with them.
The next game we got on the list is the Braden Soprenet game because it is where I live, Scripps Ranch, against where I went to high school, Cathedral Catholic. I think either way I'm going to pick wrong, but I'm going to go with my blood is red because of the Dons, and I went to high school there and more ties there than I do Scripps Ranch. I'm going to take Cathedral Catholic. I also think they're just a little bit better. But before you pick, Scripps Ranch has been on a tear since we watched them play La Costa Canyon. They are now 7-3 on the year. Does that change your pick?
No. Both teams are really young, really talented. I think Cathedral has a little bit more talent right now. I'll go with them.
Again, I'm going with the Dons, and then I'm not telling anybody in Scripps where I live. The next game is La Jolla Country Day at Bishops. That's the big game next week, the big game of the month, the big game of, so far, 2018. I know it's only January 3rd, but it's fun to say. Who are you going to get in this game?
Huge league rivalry, huge section rivalry, huge La Jolla rivalry. I'm going to go right now with the team that we have number one. They're playing as good as anybody else. They just beat a Mission Hills team that was really, really good. So I'm going to go with La Jolla in the first round, but I think that in round 2 there might be a switch, an adjustment by Coach Wells. So as of right now, next week's game, toss up, but I'm going to go La Jolla Country Day.
I'm going to go with Bishops on this stat. So Bishops is 14-4 on the year. Madison Chang has been out a couple games. When Madison Chang is playing, they have only lost 1 game on the year and have completely dominated other teams. I'm going to go with Madison Chang. I'm going with Bishops. I think it's going to be a party at the taco stand after the game, and it's going to be a great time in La Jolla for Bishops. So those are our game picks for the week and a little bit of next week. We're excited for league play. Any last words before we get out?
No, like I said, I need to get some water. Did a lot of screaming tonight. If you can hear, my voice is hoarse, so I'm going to go home and drink some hot tea like Mariah Carey on New Year's Eve.
Hot tea is nice. And if it wasn't for him, Gorwin had the greatest block of all time. Get back. It was perfect. Perfect coaching here at Mira Mesa High School. So for Haseen Williams, I'm Braden Soprenet. We'll see you guys next time on the Girls Basketball Podcast.